a lot of information has been shared, a lot of market information on this. I'm not going to go into details, but ILO is an institution to look at the labor component of all different kind of economy. And when it comes to seafood, of course, you have a capturing part of the fish we're talking about, and then of course the half of the consumption here, aquaculture, we're looking at. When we come to consumption, it's half of the consumption globally is from aquaculture. And then in Asia, this region, of course, in terms of production, it has 92% of global output coming from the region. So in that sense, it continues to be significant sector for Asian region. And of course, coming from ILO, we always look at the employment benefits of the sector. And now this sector provides, even beyond the direct benefit, it gives jobs to the local community, and of course, indirect benefit coming after that. So for the sake of, when we talk about working conditions, of course, deep sea fishing, fishing industry, this is very different working condition compared to aquaculture, right? But for the sake of discussion today, because India is the world's second largest aquaculture producer and exporter, maybe we can focus on this part of the seafood for this session. And it, of course, because it is for the fishing outside deep sea fishing, this is very much male-dominated economy. Compared to that, aquaculture does provide decent work opportunities for women's participation as well. So it is a very interesting area to look at it. Now, the last area, that last line, talking about the decent work gaps. Now, I would like to explore a little bit on that for the next slide. Now, many speakers talk about the quality, right? Quality of production. Of course, the quality of fish, quality of seafood is very important, but whether you like or not, the production part of it, people engaged in it, labor part of it, has to be also the clean production. So which means you have to have a good record of labor engaged in this sector. Otherwise, your product is not considered as quality product. And ILO is an international labor organization, and for those who are not familiar with, we've been operating in India almost 100 years or so. This is a global institution to set up labor standard, international labor standard. And this is a membership-based organization, which means we have 187 member countries, and each countries, including India, has 3 membership categories. We have government representatives, we have industry business representatives, employers, and then we have workers, trade union organization representatives. So the combination of 3 is the consensus building, how we come up with what we called international labor standard. And we have so far 193 international labor standard. And sometimes it is economic sector specific. For example, we have fishing convention, we have agriculture convention. Sometimes we have what we call core convention, right? So the first convention, by the way, you work 8 hours, right? So that is the ILO convention #1. That's why all the industry decided, okay, 8 hours is a good time for the working time for everyone to be productive, right? So that's just an example of labor standard is set. And what I'm going through is usually the core convention, which means basic principles of the rights that importers, market countries will look into when they talk about the labor compliance. So let's quickly go through it. The first one is occupational safety and health. Now, this is added during the COVID and after COVID. Safety and health is the basic requirement for at the workplaces. Of course, you don't want to go to your office not knowing you're going to be sick or injured or having a long-term impact because of the work. So this is very important to look at occupational safety and health hazardous situation and how the regulatory framework is set at the country level, but also at the factory level. And then second group is called non-discrimination, which means that everyone should have an access to occupation. Everyone is not denied because of gender, because of your background. So it's important to know that your factory, when you recruit people, it should not be limited to male only or female only. It should be offered to all workers interested to pursue their employment. Now, another important part of the non-discrimination is same payment for same value, for the same value. So it doesn't mean that, okay, in ILO we promote women's employment for more wages for women because often they are lower wage category, especially in aquaculture sector. But it doesn't mean because of that gender. No, it means that, for example, we have a speaker here, and if I am paid, I'm not paid, but the same speakers are doing the job, same job. We should be paid the same because the value is the same. So it depends on the value of the job you're giving in the factory or the industry. It shouldn't be a different arrangement in terms of payment. So that's what we mean by non-discrimination. Now the third part is very easy to grasp, no? Child labor, forced labor. This is very easily flagged by especially import-export business. If the product is traced back to a factory with child labor incident, for example, then it is a red flag. Last group of category is freedom of association and social dialogue. Now, this is talking about the unions, right? But when I mention unions, there's a misunderstanding sometimes that we have to have a union in the factory. No, which means that if someone would like to gather together to discuss their common interest, lobby and discuss common interest, that person's rights should not be denied. And if someone is working for a union and then the person is fired, then this is a red flag. So I hope you understand a little bit of difference when it comes to freedom of association. Now, a lot of issues are discussed in the setting of informality, because in formal setting, it is much easier to regulate. Okay, so another important ILO's contribution to countries is that we have a function to look at different economic sectors to produce international guidelines. So this is used for benchmark. So we have two categories. One is policy guidelines, which is used for the government, regulators, industry and government regulators, etc. And then the other part is code of conduct, which is very useful for factory owners as well. Now, I put three sort of publication titles on it. The one in the center is probably most useful. It was just produced in May this year. It is the code of conduct on occupational safety and health in aquaculture. And how do we come up with this? So ILO will request member countries to send experts. And for this one, because India is a big producer, we have Indian experts in deciding what has to go in as the international code of conduct for this sector. So we have government representative, including India. We had industry representatives, and we have workers representatives. So they all come with the different entry points and then important focus they think they should be part of it. So that's how the ILO's global code of conduct will come into place. Now this has a very concrete aspect of it, and that's why I think it might be very useful. It will look at, for example, this one's at occupational health, safety and health, right? So of course we talk about the general, protective gears, right? Aquaculture, you have to protect from head to toe, right? What kind of equipment gear you need for the eyes, hands, exposed areas, because there will be, different exposure, chemicals, etc. But then, not just the protective gears, but we look at how the occupational safety and health is formed at the enterprise level. And this is interesting because ILO, International Labour Organization, is three parties, as explained. So we have employees group and workers group included, right? So guideline, almost all sectors' code of conduct recommends to have a committee, occupational safety and committee, including workers. Why? Because I hear so often industry companies, owners saying, well, we provide productive gears, but my workers do not want to use it. It's too cumbersome, it's too difficult, it's too hot, whatever reason it is. But when you include workers, even the companies have obliged to provide the safety to its employees. It's also workers' responsibility to understand what are the risks involved in the workplaces. And it is really interesting because I've seen so many enterprise level examples. Workers are the ones who actually understand the process very well on the floor. Okay, how it works and what is not working actually. And for them to be able to spot the risk is actually can improve productivity process as well. So we get two benefits, right? To reduce the risk of occupational safety and health, injury, accident, etc. And many companies report better communication with the workers and then understanding the process better of the production. Therefore, the competitiveness and then production is better. So the rest of the two, one of the right one is on the child labor, elimination of child labor, and this is globally agreed standard. All countries, 187 countries, this is universally ratified convention, which means there's no country to say it's okay to have child labor. So which means your product cannot afford to have child labor in your factories. And in the morning, I listened to the traceability issues for the production. Now that applies to these days, it applies a lot for the factory setting. People can trace which factory is producing this product. And because of the social media, etc. Now, when someone spots the children working in your factory, well, it's unfortunate, but sometimes it's going to spread, right? So it's good to keep that in your mind, that you do the protection of workers because it's the right thing to do, but it is also a very important risk management for the business. Now, I don't know how much I can spend. I was asked to sort of raise different interesting country examples because I also worked in different countries in Asia Pacific and also Geneva. Maybe some of the South Asia project-based example. So this is the case in Philippines. And there's a lot of ASEAN countries, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam. They are big producers, right, in terms of seafood. And different approaches that sort of resulted in interesting results. Now this one started with the research, basic research. And when we say research, it's not to point the finger at. ILO is a technical agency, so we believe that having a collect information will definitely help to improve, because all member states would like to improve their sectors. You're talking about the competitors, right? I mean, we look at each other and then, okay, what other countries are doing? All countries are trying to improve the quality product, which include the product itself and then also labor part of it. So to find out what is actually the gap, and then based on that, I think this is the Philippines example. they have managed to pull together the discussion between the interdepartment inspectors. Labor inspection covers, sometimes it's a fishery department, sometimes it's a labor department. There's a lot of compliance. Who is authority to determine if the labor is complied or not? So a lot of industry level dialogue has taken place. Government Employees and Workers Council has been established. So the systematic strengthening has been done. Okay, I'm going to very quickly go through. So some of the examples are led by industry. I just wanted to point at that, because industry has a power and resource and knowledge to pursue this. And Thailand is a very good example. Okay. Now, we've done some good work in India, and what I wanted to say, India has a good potential to improve the labor part of the quality. There's a lot of intention and then planning going on at the policy level, institutional capacity level, and then also at the enterprise level. And the last message I just wanted to pass on is there's a lot of work and improvement we can do for this sector. And the most important part I would like to stress is the trust among the parties involved. We have industries, we have government, and we have workers. And that communication dialogue to improve it actually multiplying. And if you manage to create that, strengthen the ecosystem of this sector, I think India has a long way to go. So thank you very much.